What's up, everybody? You're listening to Hustle Makes It Happen, a podcast about the grit, the determination, and the mindset that it takes to become a winner. Success is not an accident. It lives outside your comfort zone, in the trenches, where excuses are met by brick walls. So strap in, tighten up, and let's get ready to hustle. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Hustle Makes It Happen. Today, we're joined by a great mentor of mine, Brigadier General Cindy Haygood. Ma'am, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I am awesome. We're very, very thankful to have you here with us today. I want to tell everybody a little bit about how me and General Haygood met, and then we'll get her to introduce herself. But General Haygood and I met in 2016 during the Livingston high water event. So I'm a captain in the Louisiana National Guard. She was the brigade commander of the 225 Engineer Brigade at the time as a colonel. We were, 4 or 5 days, I guess, into that event. And it was, I'm talking about a high impact, high stress environment. It unlike anything, certainly unlike anything that I've ever seen. I don't know, I'm sure, ma'am, you went through Hurricane Katrina, so you'd seen some of that before. I was a young lieutenant, so I had never seen anything like that before. So very high impact. And I found myself in a situation where I was in Livingston kind of running operations out of the courthouse in Livingston. And we had some accountability issues. I don't know if you remember those. We had some accountability issues, and I was down in the CP, and somebody came down and got me and said, Colonel Haygood wants to see you in our office. And I was like, oh, I didn't know Colonel Haygood was here, number one. Number two, I'd never met her before, so I didn't know what I was walking into. I walked in upstairs into the courthouse and into her office to a very concerned full bird colonel about where her equipment was and where her soldiers were. And it was all my fault. So it was very, very intimidating. Since then, I was a company commander under General Haygood. I worked on the battalion level staff under General Haygood. And over the years, we've developed a really good mentor-mentee relationship. And I can tell you, she's somebody that I can call pretty much anytime, pick the phone up. I try not to do it as much anymore because I'm sure there's a lot of those people. But, ma'am, it means a lot to me to have you here. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, my honor, definitely.
So tell us a little bit about you, and I'm going to call you ma'am the entire time. It might be weird for everybody watching, but I'm sorry. It just has to happen.
Military thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I am the last of 9 children, and my father was in the military. And so we worked, and we also lived on a farm, and we traveled the world in different places. We went to Germany, we went to El Paso, and the one thing that my father instilled in me was an incredible work ethic. Obviously, living on a farm, getting up before school and milking the cows and all that, and working in the fields as soon as we got off the bus. I mean, that you can't get away from that. So obviously, they didn't have any money for me to go to college, and obviously the last of 9, they didn't have money for anyone to go to college, but I wasn't going to allow that to stop me. So I found a way to get to LSU and to get my degree by working multiple jobs and joining the military and ensuring that I walked away with a degree from LSU. And that's where it started, because I was trying to work a couple jobs, go full-time at LSU. I was working at the LSU union, and this guy said, you're working so many hours, you're so tired all the time, why don't you just join the Guard and let the military pay for your school? I'm like, Guard?
Light
What's
bulb.
that? All I know is active duty Army.
Right.
And so he's like, no, it's just 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, they'll pay for your, degree and everything. And I'm like, where do we sign up? Mm-hmm. We literally left the union, went to the recruiter, and he said, what would you like to do? Be in the military so that I can get a degree. So you put me wherever you think you want to put me. The quickest in and out basic and advanced individual training that I can get. And I'm going to get my little 6 years and I'm getting out because I will have a degree. So, fast forward that, and I don't know if this is all, what you want me to talk
No,
about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
fast forward that, and, I'm a junior at LSU at the time, but also a private first class. So I was in a situation where obviously privates, you don't get the hard jobs. It's kind of, you're getting KP, you're working, you're, sweeping the halls, things like that. And, I was an admin special or admin private. And so I was also a junior at LSU in economics. I'm like, okay, I'm smarter than what you're giving me the opportunity to be. And the other thing is that there were no females in my unit, and I was at a headquarters. And so there was only 3 females in the entire brigade.
Wow.
And, I kind of looked at what they represented, and a couple of them were positional leaders who thought they could demand respect. We all know that you don't get anywhere as a positional leader. And so it just motivated me to say, I want to demonstrate to all of those females out there what a strong female officer looks like and acts like, and how they actually take care of their people just like every other officer. So I went to officer candidate school, and I also knew that I'm also very, very competitive, being the last of 9.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be number 1. So I also knew that I was going to have to work out twice as hard as my peers. So we started with about 105 candidates, and we graduated 12. And I, based on my PT scores, my training scores, education, I graduated the honor graduate.
Nice.
And so then I propelled myself, and I went into a platoon leader spot as a maintenance officer. And so my first assignment, as at that point, Captain DeVille opened the motor pool, and there was 300 pieces of heavy equipment, and said, I need you to learn the nomenclature of every piece of this equipment. I'm also a very numbered minded kind of person. And so it was easy for me to learn all of that. I also saw individuals where they didn't know the nomenclature. So they would get up and try to brief somebody without having the knowledge, and therefore they didn't garner as much respect because, they didn't really want to passionately learn something like that. So fast forward, I just got in there, dug in, and I kept saying, what's next? What's next? What school can I go to? What can I do? I never envisioned that I would stay past 6 years. I just didn't. Became an officer, and obviously you had to sign a contract. And so, I just kept going and never thought about that next position. I thought about, how can I be the best platoon leader? Company commander, we had 6 companies. I'm like, I want to be the best company commander. So to me, although it was extremely competitive, I was taking care of my soldiers because we wanted to make sure, obviously, all their medical requirements were taken care of, their training requirements. And I just took care of people like I wanted to be taken care of. And I also surrounded myself with a great staff as I went through, because there is no I in team, and I totally believe that. So I surrounded myself with very good people, and I invested in them. A lot of leaders kind of move through their career and they forget that you have to invest in people. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like I had to find my replacement. So I was also coaching and mentoring constantly, because like when my officer came to me, whether it was a battalion commander, brigade commander, or the adjutant general, and said, who's your replacement? I could say I got 3 or 4 of them, and they're ready. Because I invested in them, I coached them, I mentored them. When he was a young commander or a platoon leader, I'm like, okay, where's your platoon leader book? Where's your company commander book? I want to see I want to see that. But anyway, so just kind of fast forwarding, like I said, I've been in for 33 years, and I've never asked for a position. I was always tapped on the shoulder to say, look, we want you to come here. We want you to go there. Other than, you've got some folks over here that are, saying, hey, when am I going to get this? When am I going to get this? Well, if you're doing the job and you're putting the work ethic in and you're leading people, your talent will be recognized just like I recognized his talent. Someone that's working hard, that's loyal, that's honest, that's trustworthy, that wants to go the extra mile, and that cares about their people. And that, of course, is not a positional leader. So the only thing I ever asked for was I was a brigade commander at the 225, and we got a deployment notification. And so I wanted to lead that brigade as a Theater Engineer Brigade Commander in operating in 7 countries in the Middle East. So I went to the tag and said, sir, I've never asked for anything. I know I've been in command for about 2 years, and I know this deployment will put me 3.5 to 4 years. I'd love to take them down range, and when I get back, if you need this full bird colonel slot, I will retire on the spot. And I said, this is like the Taj Mahal, the dream that I would have. And he said, yes, you can take them down range, but you won't get off that easy, so you won't get to retire. But just a little bit about me. I've got 2 kids. They're both at LSU. One is a specialist in the military as a combat medic. My husband and I have been married for 25 years. He recently, August the 30th, retired as a full bird colonel. And so we live in Gonzales. Not sure exactly what else you do today.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, so I did some digging on you. First off, ma'am, it's been a pleasure getting to read and know about you a little bit more. I'm a veteran as well, and so is Garrison. So the appreciation at this table for who you are is very high.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did a little digging. I saw that you swore in your daughter.
Oh, yes.
Was that a very special moment in your life?
Oh, my gosh. It was just awesome because I didn't think she would be the one who wanted to join the military.
Okay.
Because she's real laid back. And the other one was like, her op tempo was all over the place. And she just said, hey, Mom, I'd like to join the military. I'm like, wow, okay. Because she wants to be a vet.
Okay.
And there was no vet in the National Guard, only reserves and active duty. But I will tell you, just swearing her in was just an incredible moment for me as a mother.
Knowing that your father and your husband, so you have your lineage through military, so I imagine that had to be a special moment for you.
Oh, it was special, all right.
So you said something in your intake just now that kind of I want to dive into a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure.
You talked about growing up on the farm and having that work ethic instilled. So today, obviously, our world is a lot different than it was in those times where it was put into you all the time. So how your both your daughters obviously going to LSU, tackling school, seem to be doing great for yourselves. What steps did you take with today's age being a lot different to instill those things that you had to pivot, right? You had to figure out how to put those into them. So can you just maybe elaborate on it a little bit?
Absolutely. So they had to earn everything they received from us. So like on vacations, when they got to the point where they could do chores at the house, we would take them to Disney. And I said, okay, I'm going to pay for your tickets. We're going to pay for the gas money to get there, and we're going to pay for the room. If you want anything at Disney, you have to pay for it. So I said, I'm going to give you projects around the house, and you guys can earn as much as you can. But if you only earn $50, that's all you can spend. So I will tell you an incredible lesson. I'm also, at that time, was a banker too, because they both earned about $75. And so when we went to the first time that they were old enough, again, to earn money when they were babies, obviously we did it ourselves. So we go into the park. First thing they see is a gigantic balloon. Oh, Mama, I'd like that balloon. I said, okay, you got $75. It's $15
for balloon.
And she's like, but it's going to burst later on, and it's, the air is going to come out of it. That's right, but it's your money. You can spend. Well, I'm not spending $15 on a balloon that's going to, burst in a day or two. So they immediately started figuring out the value of $1 and what they had to work for. Believe it or not, they both came back with money. But to me, I wanted to share with them, money is not just, green dollar backs. You have to work hard for everything you get. And the same thing is like, for their car and their gas and everything else, they have to do projects for me. And same thing with Madeline, because Madeline learned saving at a young age. She got her $20,000 bonus, got the first installment, and she has saved $15,000 that she doesn't even touch.
That's great.
That's awesome.
So they, I just let them know that they have to work for everything they receive. And mom and dad, could we have paid for it? Absolutely. But it would not have taught them anything.
Life lessons.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to talk about, I know firsthand, these guys don't, and certainly our viewers don't know, have the type of firsthand experience that I have with you. But you talked all through your questionnaire. You've mentioned it already once in your interview. You talk about you talk about work ethic, and I think something that I think you'll agree ties directly into work ethic is discipline. So, like, how do you develop? Like, how do you recommend developing the discipline to maintain that high op tempo and that high degree of work ethic? Like, what steps do you need to take specifically to continue to be disciplined every day of your life so that you can keep up that op tempo?
Well, I am big into setting goals and writing them down so that I can see progress and accomplishments, kind of like working out. I still see a lot of people in the gym, they never write anything down, and God bless their souls. But I like to write everything down so that I can ensure that I'm moving the needle forward. The other thing is accountability. You have to be accountable. And let's just say, and y'all saw this in my questionnaire, there are times that I don't get as motivated because I've got so much going on in my life. But then guess what? I tap a friend, even if they're not as motivated, to say, hey, we're going to do this challenge. It's kind of like when I did the Run Keeper.
I told him that story last night. I told Chase that story last night. So we were at the tag match. I remember, and I was the company commander of 2225th. You were the brigade commander. And you walked up to me and said, Captain Bryson, do you have Runkeeper on your phone? And I said, no, ma'am. And you said, give me your phone. She said, give me your phone. I handed her my phone. She downloaded the app, added herself as a friend, added me to a group, and handed me my phone back. And she said, we're running 100 miles a month.
Accountability. Gotta have it.
Okay. Yeah. Roger that, ma'am. Hey, but we took that back to the company.
That's
you remember?
right.
We took it back to the company and improved the PT scores in the company from like a 40% pass rate to almost a 70% pass rate.
Wow.
By creating that group accountability. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, whether it's working out, whether it's leadership, whatever it is setting a goal, accomplish it, and then also having a team to help you get there. That's why our stats were always so high, whether it was the battalion or the brigade, because I invested in those commanders and those leaders and showed them, hey, if you do this, you're taking care of your people, so that we could accomplish things. And it goes back to discipline. Yeah, it's very easy in this world today to get distracted. Yeah. Because there's so much going on. Like you said, you've got so much, so many irons in the fire.
Right.
But, once you start, I hate to say it, once you start sliding, you can slide all the way down, and then you have to claw yourself back up to be disciplined every day, regardless of what it is.
I like how you mentioned progress, and I personally find progress to be addicting. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, school, finishing a class, getting closer to my degree. That's something that I find addicting. I mean, when I finish that class, I have those credits, and nobody can take that away from me. So keeping track of it is something that I find is very important for me personally.
I agree.
I was going to ask you, it was something that me and Justin talked about when we were brainstorming last night about how you mold your leaders. But you started right out the gate with how important that is to you. What characteristics do you find need to be at the forefront when you're molding your subordinates or even people that you want to take your positions? What are some of the high characteristics that you want to instill in them?
Beside obviously work ethic, loyalty, and being a people person, being able to relate to the individuals that are working either with them, for them, just ensuring that they're relatable, they're loyal, and they're honest, and they have integrity. Because there's a lot of folks out there that want to take a shortcut to get to the top. And if you don't have integrity, then you kind of lost the game.
Right.
Well, that kind of plays back into what you said about some of the other people that were standing in front giving presentations or about projects to other people that they had half knowledge, and you went out there And it's okay if they're not good at numbers, but if you're not, that means you're going to have to put in double the work to learn your job. If you're not good at those, you might excel in another area of that, and you might not have to work as hard. But I love that it ties back into what you originally stated about really just being having full knowledge of everything that is underneath you.
And I would also say that as an officer, and this is where my dad also helped me because he was an NCO, and he came down and he pinned me and he said, Cindy, if I can give you any advice at all, yes, you're in charge, you're the leader, you're the officer, but you have to listen to your non-commissioned officers. You've got to trust them. They are tenured. He said, I've been there, done that. And I've had a lot of lieutenants and captains and, so on and so forth just want to dismiss me because I'm an NCO. And then I've had some that embraced me and we became the strongest team out there.
That's how you build the team, is showing that
right.
that you can trust their judgment calls.
Absolutely. And something General Curtis used to always say is that, if you've got a lot of folks and it's they give you an ideal, you go out and you execute a mission and it fails, you take the blame. You never pass the blame. And if it's a success, you give them the credit. And so, it's just making sure that you're investing in those NCOs and treating them with respect and leaning on their years of knowledge and experience. So we run into that.
We run into that at work a lot. Engineers come in and they fresh out of college and they want to tell us how to run the unit. And we've been doing it for 15, 20 years. So they definitely need to take some value into that knowledge and that time they put in.
Yep. And if you do that, they will respect you.
Right.
I learned that a long time ago too, is, I came in and said, look, I'm like a sponge. And sometimes, Sergeant Major Serio, he'd come, I'd get all worked up with something that wasn't going perfect. And he's like, look, Lieutenant, he said, you got to act like a duck and let that water roll off your back. He said, he said, you're going to be a great lieutenant because you care.
Yeah.
I said, yes, I do.
So being a very high-ranking general we would even all say a predominantly male-dominated field, did you ever have doubts, or did you just always just dug in? And if you did, what did you do to overcome those doubts?
Oh, I've never had any doubts.
I love it.
No.
Awesome.
I love it.
Also, we like
You want to talk about mental mindset? It's when somebody says, I knew from jump where I was going, and I love it.
And I will tell you why I had no doubts. I never, when I was pinned to Butter Bar, I never dreamed about being a general, ever. I wanted to do, and I'm telling you, this is how I got to where I am. I wanted to be the best at what I did right then and there. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened, they said, okay, enough of that, you've got to have another position. Same thing with company commander. I was a company commander in 2 different companies 5.5 years, which is unheard of. Battalion XO for 5.5 years. But I never thought about that next position, and I never thought about myself as, oh, I'm a female. Because I've got this uniform on, and it's U.S. Army. Mm-hmm. It's not female Haygood, male Haygood.
That's right.
It is U.S. Army.
Right.
And, okay, so, yeah, there's a lot of males out there. There's a lot of females out there. I wanted to be the best soldier that I could be and the best leader. And if that wasn't good enough, then I could have gone home. Because I do believe that everything happens for a reason. Now, yes, I had to put myself out there, work ethic, and be a great leader. But I think there's too many people, they're thinking so far ahead about that next position as opposed to being the best in the current position. And if you constantly think about the next position, you're not even doing the best in your position. So again, I had people say, oh, you're going to be the next brigade commander. I was like, no, I'm happy being the best battalion commander. And if the tag sees fit that he wants me to be a brigade commander, then he'll let me know. Otherwise, he may tell me it's time to retire, and I've got 20 years. And I will say thank you for allowing me to stay 20 years.
Yeah, no distractions, like you mentioned earlier.
I love that answer in so many different forms.
Yeah.
Did you have a pivot point where you knew digging in the heels was just gonna not catapult you, because it's not the term I want to use, but just get you to the next step? Did you have that aha moment, or where you just felt like yep, that worked, and I'm going to keep doing this. It could be young or middle-aged or.
So what I go back to being very competitive, and I looked at all the rankings, whether it was company commander, battalion commander, brigade commander, and when your brigade is sitting heads and tails above other brigades in personnel, in readiness, in training, that made me feel good to say, okay, because I am out, not me, just our team is doing so good. There's an opportunity, there's a chance that I could get that next promotion. And again, I go back to say, if I do, great. If I don't, great.
Right.
I was, again, people can talk and say everything in the rumors. Oh, we think you're going to be this, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And I'm like, okay, I try to, that's white noise to me. Mm-hmm. I want to be the best. But when General Curtis called me in and said that he was going to send me in for a certificate of eligibility for GO, that to me was like, wow. Just kind of the Taj Mahal, and.
So let me ask you, was that the spot where you thought, okay, like everything that I've worked for up to this point has paid off? I've made it. Have you ever said that? Like, I've made it, I'm good? Yeah. Or are you still every day going in and saying, how can I be the best task force commander? How can I be the best assistant adjutant general, or whatever?
I was very humbled and honored, because it is an honor to be recognized as a general officer. And also, so May the 1st, which is coming up, I'll have 2 years as a brigadier general. And, with the pandemic and everything, I don't ever get to slow down to think about that. So it's, and for me, I also think I have to put on another hat that I have is really trying to encourage females to say, yeah, there are a lot of male officers and NCOs, but you've got to be that leader, and you've got to be true to yourself. And if that's what you want, then nothing held me back. So go out there and get it. And General Sheridan was the first female, and so I'm the second female general officer. And it's just, I feel like we're paving the way to show females do the standard and then be greater than that. And you can accomplish things too. So
I'm raising a daughter right now, and I cannot wait until this is on the air, because I'm going to make sure she listens to every single word that is said today.
I think that's really important too, because you have, not just male, female, but I think generally in life, you have a lot of people that see an obstacle like being a female in a male dominant organization, and they see that obstacle and they say to themselves that they can't make it. Like, they immediately start from a position of disadvantage, because they feel like no matter how hard they try, they're not going to be good enough, or nobody's going to allow them to be good enough. And you've completely blown that out the water. And I think having a strong mentor to look to is an encouragement for other people. I mean, what would you say to people that are in a position like that, where they feel like the odds are stacked against them and that they're never going to make it, and they're talking to themselves like that? Like, what would you tell those people?
Well, you have to have the courage to go forward and believe in yourself. It starts there, and not listen to all the noise out there, and find someone to emulate, whether there's a male officers that are strong, or a female, and what are they doing, and emulate that, and don't listen to all of that,
because the distractions are real today.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, I'm the last of 9. My parents had no money, like nothing to give me. But I did not allow that. And that's what, and actually this weekend we're doing a big event, Believe in Girls, in Hammond, and it's Girl Scouts. And that's kind of the message I'm going to give them. And I want to tell people, I'm the last of 9, and my parents had nothing, but it did not stop me. It did not define me. And it challenged me to say, oh, look what I'm going to do. I will get a degree from LSU.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect segue. And another thing that you said in your questionnaire that we wrote down last night that we wanted to talk about. So we asked you about what you do when you meet obstacles, like what you do when you run into a wall. What mindset do you take? And you told us that whenever you look to overcome an obstacle, that you stay focused on the results, period. I mean, you left it there. You said with a results oriented mindset. So how important is it to be able to filter out the noise, set a goal with a result in mind, and constantly drill and drive towards that goal?
It's extremely important, and it goes back to discipline and work ethic. You've got to ensure nothing gets in your way, and you have to believe that you can accomplish that mission. I think, in the world we are in today, not everybody has that belief, and so, and if not, then you're going to let all these distractions derail you from that goal. And then you're going to say, I couldn't do it because the obstacle was too high.
It's almost like the obstacle is the way.
Yes. So don't let that.
I don't know. I got goosebumps.
That's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. It really is.
Garrison, how you doing? I know you have questions. I can see them brewing and storming.
Well, y'all are hitting all the points that I'm thinking about. I mean, so setting goals, it seems like that's kind of what your focus is. The obstacles are not even, you don't even think of obstacles as being an obstacle. It's just, it doesn't matter to you at all. So goal setting seems to be the most important thing to you. So you have something to focus on and something to progress towards. And I think that's a great way to keep your mindset right.
If you already in your mind know that there will be obstacles, okay, just lay it out there, right? Yes, there's going to be obstacles. It's what do you do when you face those obstacles? That's also going to define you. Are you going to, like you said, oh, it's too big, it's this, it's that? No. Okay, you're going to have obstacles. It's not going to be easy, right? Success is not easy.
No.
So you've got to find a way to get around that obstacle to achieve your goal.
Right.
So with that, it leads into something that we talked a lot about, failure. A lot of people in life, they fail and they learn zero from it. Yeah. Just a brief thing that might be something that's triggered a learning. Just give us a brief description of maybe just somewhere in life, anywhere that you had a failure, how you learned from it or what you took away from it, whether it's that'll never happen again, or maybe I learned these things about myself, anything. Just for somebody that has high success, I know from the people that I've surrounded myself with in life, we talk about our failures a lot because I try to surround myself with people now in the last years of my life with successful people, and I want to learn from their mistakes, and we try to be vulnerable and talk about those things with each other.
Okay, so I'll deviate from what's on the paper there. So I think that sometimes when you set goals and you're so driven, sometimes you don't listen to your body. And I'll give a pretty good example here. So when we were deployed, my sergeant major and I, we loved to work out. And we were in a different country almost every other week. And of course, the first thing we're wanting to know is like, where are the gyms at, right?
Right.
Just tell me where the gym is and what time they open up.
Same mindset.
So that was the most important thing for us, and how close can you get us to the gym and things like that. Because that's, keeping your body strong, keeps your mind strong.
That's
and
right.
Obviously when you're getting some sleep deprivation in there, you need to have a strong body. So I had an injury, and, so the PA basically said, hey, we need you not to run for 2 weeks. I'm like, no, really? There's like no way. That's kind of my zen. And so I was like, okay, we'll do some biking. So I got on the bike, and then I'm like, okay, on day 14, we were in Erbil. And so I was like, okay, did they say you can't run until after the 14th day or on the 14th day? The 14th day is 2 weeks. So I'm like, in my mind, like really kind of negotiating what the PA, a doctor, and I'm not a doctor, said. So I'm like, I think it's the 14th day. Now, he probably also said, take it easy. Well, I didn't. I went out and I ran like 6 miles that day. And then, so I'm like hobbling to the DFAC with the sergeant major, and he's like, I bet you went and ran. I said, I did. He said, I bet you didn't take it easy. I did. And so that's part of where I'm actually 55, and I think it was 53 at the time, still learning that it's okay to be a hard charger, but sometimes you actually have to listen to other professionals when they say, hey, you may not want to run because you may tear your Achilles. So I'm not going to say that's a total failure. I think it's a major learning point for someone who is so driven that sometimes you do have to take it easy.
It's a kink in your armor that you're working on.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I get
right.
it.
So it's an opportunity for me to realize that when a professional tells me I need to stop running, I need to stop running.
Got to know when to pull back the reins.
That's right, absolutely. And it's okay to shift and maybe not run and do biking or walking.
This resonates. I learned it a little bit earlier than you, but I went through some injuries and things, and I was trying to always try to keep up. I don't know what I was trying to keep up with, but I was always trying to, and I had to pull the reins back on myself because I said, I'm 40 now. I had a couple injuries, that my lower back and things like that, but I had to learn that I can't go as hard as I was when I was 30, Justin's age.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're old. No, so
Life lessons.
That's right.
that's that whole point again just folds right into another point that we had brought up last night whenever we were preparing, is about managing burnout. So I think with somebody, especially with like your level of intensity and with your level of drive, burning out is a real thing, especially whenever you're so dedicated to doing a really good job at the job you do and being a great leader for other people. How easy is it to like get too focused on work and not focus enough on your family, or not focus enough on your home life or your own personal health? And how do you balance doing the best that you can as a leader and doing the best that you can to move the needle in your profession while still maintaining an outlook on everything else that you have going on in life?
So I learned early on, and my sister taught me this, and she's in the ministry. So I was trying to be an A+ mom, A+ Capital One manager, an A+ officer, an A+ wife, and an A+ house cleaner. And I literally drove myself crazy to the point where, I'm like, I don't know how to do all this. It's just like I'm staying up till 12 o'clock making sure every single thing is in perfectly, I'm not ADD, but I wanted my house clean. And she said, Cindy, she said, I'm going to tell you something. She said, sometimes you've got to realize you can't be an A+ everything, because then you're a D for yourself or an F. She said, sometimes it's okay to be a C- house cleaner and an A+ mom and maybe a B- wife. And so she's kind of, I was like, okay, I'm not in school anymore. And so, all these, letters and everything, but it really started hitting home for me to realize, wow, because that is what will get you burnout. When you think you have to be perfect to everyone in every instant in every place. And so I took that and I realized, okay, get a house cleaner, number one, and
Best money you can spend, by the way.
so that's right. Have somebody help you, because you can't be an A+ everything or you will burn out. And then, you can't be a great mom if as a person, you are going and sinking to rock bottom and you're not good with yourself. And so, same thing with this whole pandemic. It's been a crazy 2 years. And so, haven't gotten much time off, but, sometimes I'll do, and I'll come home and, get in the bathtub and take a hot bath or whatever, and just spend a couple of hours to myself. And for me, I'm also trying to, you guys probably saw this, spend a little bit more time in the Word to make sure that I am grounded as a Christian, and that, my faith carries me when sometimes I'm
That's great.
not as strong as I may need to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I think that's a good thing to kind of unpack a little bit more too. So you talked about managing that burnout, leaning on your faith to set priorities for your family. I'm sure has something to do with how you prioritize, where you're going to take those shortcuts.
absolutely. Yeah.
When you do get the time, I know that there's probably very little of it in your schedule. How do you decompress?
So I like to do projects. And I've mentioned, the girls are out of the house. They've been out of the house for about 2 years. And so I'm like changing every room. So I'm wanting to paint every single room, change out every single ceiling fan, anything electronic in my house that I can do. That's what I need. It's gardening. It's,
So it's project based.
that's right. Project based. It's like, so I have this project, change out 5 ceiling fans by myself. I don't need anyone else to help me do that. So our gas heater on our spa went out, and I'm like, I'm going to fix that myself. I'm not going to ask the company to come out. And so little bitty things like that, like repainting my entire house. I'm going to do that. So,
That's an undertaking.
yes, it
That
is.
is an
And so, but to
undertaking.
me, I know that sounds crazy because it's working, but it's also decompressing for me. It's, you don't have to think about it, right? Painting is,
You get into the progress.
Is it the progress?
Yeah, I think it's
That's
that
what I talked
goal
about.
accomplishment.
Yes.
Yes.
Setting goals and being addicted to progress.
So
That's right.
I have that therapeutic side of me too, that seeing something start and then seeing it finished gives me this zen of satisfaction internally. So
Kind of like weeding. When you weed a flower bed, at
Yes.
least for 1 week, it's going to be.
for 1 week.
For
I know.
Yeah.
And the summertime,
Yeah,
and then
that's
of course you accomplished that. So
So if you could go back, you're going to go back to 16 and you're going to talk to Brigadier General Cindy Haygood at 16. What are you going to tell her?
join the military earlier instead of waiting to a junior at LSU and struggling for 3 years and working 2 or 3 jobs and struggling with grades and things like that. Join the military. It is the best thing that happened in my life. And, from there, I think I would say the same thing that I'm doing now. Your work ethic will define you, and care about people and they will care about you. So, but I wish every person could join the military at least for a year. I think just the discipline and just the, what you get out of the military is just incredible, and regardless of the service. I would encourage myself to join at 18.
I agree with you on that.
yeah,
It was a great experience in my life.
I think everybody on this side of the table can put a full testament that, we all have different years of service, but it has all played a part in who we are today, why we're doing what we're doing today. Mine's a little far removed, but it still plays in my mind, and it's built the character that I can say that is who I am today.
Yeah, I was
Absolutely.
an absolute mess whenever I joined the military. I mean, I joined at 19, but I was a mess. I wouldn't have graduated college if it wasn't for the military. There's no doubt in my mind I would not have graduated.
Me neither. And I still haven't graduated yet, but I attribute it to my military experience.
You had to go grow up a little bit.
I did.
Yeah.
I had to.
I did too. I did as well.
And it made me do that. I'm thankful for my service.
Oh, man. I told you guys that was going to be a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
This is what we want.
All right, we'll do a little last pass round table. Garrison, what you got for us?
I don't know. I like the military thing for you is something I've encouraged other people. People who maybe went to college for a year and decided it wasn't for them and they kind of are lost. That's where I found the military, kind of came into my life, and it was at a great time. I grew up a lot. I learned how to be disciplined, and I had to fend for myself, basically. As far as life outside of the military, you have to pay your own bills. You have to take care of your own vehicle. There was a lot of growing up that happened for me. So I just want to add on to that. Yes, I think that's a great option for people out there that are just maybe kind of lost, don't know what to do, in a transitioning point in their life. I think it's a great option.
So for me, this was eye-opening. It was wonderful. My only round. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Sharing your experiences and your mindset with us. My daughter's a driving force. Was one of the forefront for me, a big pivot point in my life. And I'm trying to surround her with as many strong-minded, strong-willed females as I can possibly get her around. So when she listens to this, she'll have a great moment. We'll have a great father-daughter moment listening to this together.
Yeah, ma'am, it's always a pleasure to see you, as intimidating as you are to me. It's always a pleasure. I knew whenever we were talking about who we were going to get on our podcast, we're early on, we're in episode 2. I said, we have to go after General Haygood, because I don't know a person or a mentor in my life that is as steadfast in their leadership as you. So I just want to tell you, thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. It's been awesome. I think we all learned a lot for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you asking me to be on the show, and hopefully just some of the words of wisdom, for anyone out there trying to feel their way through life. Again, I think the military, regardless of what service, is just a great place to start. And just the opportunities and the doors that are open for you are endless.
Awesome. Well, there it is, folks. That is episode 2 of Hustle Makes It Happen, the podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media. All of our social media links are down in the video description below. Look, if you got some value out of the show, share the show with somebody that you think would get value out of it as well. It's all we ask. Share the show with your friends if you think you got some value out of it.
That's it.
Gary,
Until next time.
Thanks for listening.
All right, till next time, head down, eye on the ball, hustle makes it happen, but most importantly, have fun.